Hi, my name is Laura Feeney, and I live in a suburb of Oshawa called Courtice, Ontario. Population of approximately 80,000 people. I'm here today to inform you of some facts regarding a case of wrongful termination in Wsib. I will start at the beginning by saying I have cleared all this through a legal consultant, and whatever I say, as long as I stick with the facts, it is perfectly okay for me to say what I'm about to say. Back on July 9th, 2008, I was involved in a altercation with two parties who have never been caught in Ajax, Ontario. These parties proceeded to hijack me off my work truck, which was owned by Ryder Logistics, to hijack my work truck, pull me off it, beat me, pull me in behind a store, sit on me while they took off in my hijacked truck. Now, you would think that everything would go from there the way it is supposed to go. It would go from hospital to nice and smooth. Unfortunately, this whole situation that started that day has blown up into somewhat of a very interesting situation. I was taken to the hospital. Back of my head had to be closed with 4 staples. I was also covered in bruises. I made up a police report that stated she was beaten, taken off her truck, and verbally and mentally assaulted, which has since then developed into a chronic case of post-traumatic stress disorder. As I say, I was hospitalized, I went to a police station, was interviewed by 2 detectives on the case for approximately 45 minutes. Therefore, we have a paper police report and we have a videotape police report. During this videotape police report, I had to hand in a t-shirt that was covered in my blood on the shoulder. After that, I went back to my cross dock. I was seen by my supervisor and 2 other parties and told that I would take the rest of the week off to A, let my head heal, and B, catch my breath. I went back to work the following Monday. They put me on so-called light duties for approximately 3 days, and then I was to go back to full duties because I wanted to. As it turns out, the day I went back, which was back to full duties, which was Wednesday, I was taken into the office by 2 of my supervisors and promptly written up on a security violation. How does that work? You get beaten up on the job, and then you get written up a security violation. Believe it or not, the security violation was written up on an incident that happened approximately a year previously in North Pickering. I saw something coming that I did not really feel too good about. Anyway, I proceeded from July forward, just doing my job, supporting my family, and following January, I did not know it at the time, but I was starting to show manifestation of early signs of post-traumatic stress disorder. This has also been accounted for in a Canadian Human Rights Board assessment that says that my supervisor noticed these symptoms to begin with. However, I was more interested in supporting my family and keeping going than thinking, okay, fine, I'm just doing my job, keep going. At the time, of course, the economy was tanking. So, what happened is, I turned around and I continued to keep working, and in March of 2009, I was still showing signs, and we had so-called job audits, which turned around and eventually said that I was not doing my job properly, and yada yada yada. But at the same time, they never wrote me up for it, or anything like that. On April 14th, 2009, I was taken into the back room and told my services were no longer needed, and they terminated me. Well, where was I supposed to go from there? Well, like everyone else, I assumed it was because of the economy. But as I found out when I applied for the criminal injuries compensation, I found out that it wasn't because of the economy. Ryder did not submit their Form 7 to WSIB, which they should have in the prior 3 days after my assault and finding out about it. As it turns out, they should have done that, but they didn't. They found out about my accident an hour after it happened, and they never put in anything to WSIB. So criminal injuries told me of that, and I promptly phoned WSIB, and they said there's nothing here. So, therefore, they terminated my services wrongfully. Since then, criminal injuries has compensated me as a victim of crime. But WSIB, in its website, says we look after Ontario workers. They haven't done anything for me, except give me a lot of grief. I've had an adjudicator tell me that my assault was my fault and I should have handed in the paperwork. By law, according to the website and my legal opinion, the only thing I was supposed to do was report the accident. Since then, now I'm in quandary with WSIB. I'm struggling financially. I have post-traumatic stress disorder. As of August of 2010, I have an actual diagnosis. I worked for 20 years before my incident. I was an actual workaholic. My husband couldn't keep track of me. Now I'm basically just staying at home, finally getting treatment, which WSIB was supposed to look after for me, but as it turns out, criminal injuries and my own efforts have done so behind them. WSIB has done nothing and continues to do nothing. As I say, on April 14th it will be 2 years. Therefore, since Ryder also apparently, according to my legal opinion, has terminated me wrongfully, they should turn around and do their job. But I'm not going to see any job from them. WSIB should have turned around and said, this girl is a victim of crime. She has been wrongfully terminated. She was the victim of a beating, and she should be compensated, and Ryder should be fined. I haven't seen any of that yet. I have written to Graham Marshall, the president of the WSIB. He continues to ignore me. The Ministry of Labour continues to ignore me. I have been in contact with my MPP, John O'Toole. He has done what he can. But apparently, since it's in, how would you say, what is the word? In the queue, it can't be taken out of the queue. It's heading to appeals. It should have never gone to appeals in the first place. Now, I'm telling you, there are not just me in Ontario who's dealing with WSIB in this way. There are a lot of workers who have probably been wrongfully terminated and have no idea that this is happening. They're just in the queue, waiting for appeals. In the meantime, they're having to deal with welfare issues, social service issues. I personally cannot get any social services because my husband apparently makes too much money. I can guarantee you, my husband did not make enough money right now. We're behind on our bills, and it's a constant worry every day, who's going to show up at my front door next? I don't think I should be having to deal with this. WSIB has done nothing. Its mandate in Ontario is to look after the injured workers. I did not ask to be assaulted. I did not ask to be terminated wrongfully. Yet WSIB believes it's okay for Ryder Logistics to do whatever they want with me, and that is the point. What I'm saying is this. It is time that WSIB looked past their own so-called mandate, take my case out of appeals where it should have never gone in the first place, and give me the service I deserve. Don't be turning around and giving me the insane rigmarole because it's in appeals. We can't touch it. You put it there, take it back. In the meantime, next year I will be married almost 25 years. Right now, my husband and I will be celebrating our 24th. We don't think we'll be able to celebrate our 25th because A, we're either going to be kicked out of our house, B, we're not going to have any money anyway, And C, we don't know financially if we're going to be able to even renew a mortgage in 2013 at this rate. I'm tired of waiting. Mr. Marshall, do your job, let the WSIB do their job, and tell them I want proper service. I'm a victim of a crime. Criminal Injuries has done their job. They've looked after me. Now, as an injured worker, I'm demanding you do yours.